Alright folks, in the previous video we looked at how we batch edit, and we did all of those things to these photos. Now we're going to look at batch exporting. So Lightroom is so much better than Photoshop for this very purpose. As a photographer, you're taking hundreds of photographs and you're going through and you're sorting them. Lightroom is also a cataloging program, so you can go back and look at those. So the development tools are fantastic, but it's also all about exporting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right up here on Library. So we've already done the developing, we've got all these photos, and we want to export all of them. Let's say that we want to keep all of them, and we want to get them all printed out, or we want to put them all on the web and all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, same thing we did before. So I clicked on the first one, I'm going to hit Shift key and click on every single one that I want to use. Now you can go through and shift click, so let's try this one more time. The other thing you can do is I can do this and click shift and click on the last one and it'll highlight that. Now you run into some issues with exporting for this, difference between Mac and a PC. In the lab there are PCs. Here at home I have a Mac, so it does this naturally. But what I have found is that when we're working on a PC, it's the best to hit the shift key and click each individual one, which is a little tedious and a little frustrating. Click in the center of it, not that. Just because it makes sure that they're all selected at the same level. There's 3 levels of selection. I don't want to get into all of that, but make sure that they're all the same color, okay? You'll notice that here it says 13 selected. That's what you want to make sure, that all of the number, that number is larger. That's the number you're looking for, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Export. Now a new dialog box comes up and it says export 13 files. Okay, let's go through these. On the left side there are presets. Lightroom has a bunch of presets, so if I click on these, it's not a bunch but there's quite a few, and it sets stuff. So this is an export for a CD or DVD. This is for the hard drive to export to DNG, which is the universal RAW file. For email, which is specific size limits, and for email hard drive. I don't like any of these so far as what we're doing, so we're not going to use any of those. We're going to click back off of that. Okay, so what we're going to do, export location. Now this is where your files are going to be exported to. Now because we're batch editing all of these files down here, we need to set stuff so that it happens. So let's imagine that this photo here was in a different orientation. Let's say that it was, you know, up and down. So these photos are slightly different. These are all roughly the same size because I kept the camera the same. But we need to think about it if it's lots of different possibilities. So let's look at the export location. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pick wherever we want it to go. So I've got a specific folder. Okay, so I'm going to click on specific folder and I'm going to choose this folder. So it brings up and I can find out where I want to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I've got it on my drive. I'm going to go to classwork, vids, and I'm going to pick, let's do a new folder. So I'm going to pick a new folder. I'm going to create this as focus export. Okay, so great. So now it's going in this file. I'm going to choose this file. So now it's going to go straight now. If I wanted to go in that file and put it in a specific subfolder, I could type and put in what I want that to be. And I'm going to say this is the demo export. Okay. So that's where it's going to go. That's where it's going to be. So now we're looking at the file naming. So it could be these, and all of these are named image.cr2. I took these on the Canon, so it's the CR2 rather than the Nikon, which I normally shoot on. So let's go to rename. Okay, I'm going to rename them because I want this more specific. And what I'm going to do is you got lots of different options. Custom name plus YFX. If we click on that, you see that it shows you basically what's here. So untitled, one of a number, and that's how it names each one of those. Same thing, you can do a bunch of different options. I'm going to do custom name and sequence. So let's say that I'm going to start at 1. So our very first one is 1, and it's going to go through the number 13. I'm going to put in a custom text here, and I'm going to call it focus mission. Okay, so it'll be focus mission 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, lowercase, you can get really specific about this if you've got some naming conventions you want to do. This is a video, so we don't have to worry about it. All right, we want to export it. So we got image format. We got lots of different formats. We got JPEG, PSD, TIFF, DNG, original. We're going to stick with PNG. I mean with the JPEG. Okay. The quality. Now I want this to be really good quality, so I'm going to go all the way up to 100. We're going to keep this space the same, but we could change it. Okay. Now image size. So these images are 6,000. They're like 4,000 pixels wide. So my Nikon shoots at 6,000. So I think the Canon shoots at about 4,000. So I'm going to resize to fit. Now if I do this, it's going to smush all of these. Now all of these are roughly the same size, but let's say that they're different. This will go back to that. I'm going to pick the long edge. So whether it is up and down, so either whether it's a portrait view or whether it's a landscape, these are all landscapes, it's going to pick whichever one is longer, and it's going to set that dimension. So since we're using pixels, this resolution doesn't really matter. If we were using inches, it would really matter what resolution, which would be 300. But right now we're going to keep this at 72. So pixels, I'm going to change this to 1280. Okay. So full HD, if I was doing that with 1920, okay. 1280 is about the size of a Facebook video, and I use 1280 a lot just because it gives us, it's small enough that it doesn't clog up all your space, because you still have the raw files, but this is just the exported bit. Output sharpening, we can do that. I'm not really going to mess with that. So metadata. So the metadata is all of this stuff connected, and includes like your camera, who you are, any information that's on there. So if I want to include all the metadata, I certainly can, and that would be a bigger JPEG file. Copyright only just means that if there's a copyright on the image, when I import it, you can see metadata right here. When I import images, I could tell it all of those things and what I wanted it to do. Okay. Right now, I'm going to keep the copyright only. In fact, yep, copyright only. Okay. Then I'm going to go over here. So watermark, if we had something where we wanted to put over the image so it said, this is our image, don't touch it, we could do that. But we're not going to do that for now. And then post-processing. So what happens after it saves it? It says show it in Finder. We could do nothing, show in Finder, open in Photoshop, open in another application, or go to export actions folder now. But, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to go show in Finder. Okay, so what I'm going to do. Now, we're all set. We're ready. We're going to click export. Look up here at the top of the screen. It says export 13 files. Now, we'll see how long it's going to take. I'm going to keep recording until it does. But if it takes a long time, I'm just going to cut this part out of the video. So we'll sit and wait. All right, guys, so we're back. So I did end up cutting the video, but you can see it ended up taking about 3 or 4 minutes or so. And part of that was because I'm running this video capturing software at the same time that it's going on. So here is the new video. So it popped up right here on the screen, our exported images. So you can see that it gave us focus mission, which is what we named, -1 through 13. And today, JPEG images, you can see the size of those, so they're still pretty large. So here's all that. So, and you can walk away. The great thing about Lightroom is that also you can continue editing other images while it's exporting. It will export in the background while you continue to work. So that is batch exporting. Good luck. Have fun.